Hi, it's Brooke Booth, life coach at brookeboothcoaching.com, where I help those in a mixed faith marriage because of a faith transition, specifically Mormons in a mixed faith marriage. So, I'm going to talk about this phrase that you might find helpful to understand and conceptualize in your marriage, and that's this idea of anticipatory guidance. Now, this is something that you use a lot, whether you realize it or not. You go to the pediatrician and they tell you things like your baby's going to start crawling soon, they're going to find certain interest in objects or activities. Basically, they're letting you know what to expect next in their developmental stage. We do this all along with our kids. We give, books to our young daughters about puberty, American Girl's Guide to Growing Up, that's my favorite one, to help them navigate what to expect next in their development. So I want to give you a little anticipatory guidance in this video for your adult development. It's something we don't talk a lot about. Adult development is a thing. Our development does not stop at puberty. We keep developing. So if you're like me, you weren't exactly told this. I just thought I'd get educated, go on a mission, get married in the temple, have kids, get a mortgage, minivan. Great. I've arrived. That was that. Serve in callings, that is that. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of what to expect next in your adult development. Here's your anticipatory guidance. You and your spouse will continue to develop as adults. Your relationship is developing, your ideas and your belief systems will continue to develop. It's normal. It's going to happen. Okay, there's your anticipatory guidance. If your spouse tells you you are not the same person I married, maybe you've heard this, I have, think, of course not. I've been developing this whole time. I kind of chuckle, in fact, and it's a really good thing I've developed a little bit since I was 24. I was close to a wife in a mixed faith marriage, and her husband was very, very frustrated that she was different, right? That she was looking at new ideas and new viewpoints. It was threatening to him. It was confusing. And I agree. I get it. It can be scary when our spouses change. It is also normal. So there's a little anticipatory guidance there. You might freak out a little bit if your spouse starts to change. But that's normal to freak out at change and also normal to change. So with that in mind, I like to consider a few ideas that can really help bring in some more gentleness and understanding into a marriage, a mixed faith marriage, when there is change because people are developing and growing and evolving. First thing, don't judge your past self. This is surprisingly tricky to do. Don't judge your past self as dumb, naive, blind. Your past self was simply that, your past self, at that level of development. And I'm not saying levels of development make you better or smarter or more advanced. They're just like a child who can ride a bike is not superior to a child who can't. It's just a developmental thing. One isn't better or worse. It just is what it is. So when we look at our past selves, there's no need to judge. That's just where they were. That's just where they were. And the same applies to our spouse. A lot of times I've seen it where we judge our spouse's past self. And we don't give them the grace to change as well. So I've heard myself say things like, well, my husband would never agree with that. Or he always judged such and such or so and so. When, okay, 5 years ago, maybe that's exactly what he did, but does he do it anymore? I often don't give him the grace for his own development, for his own change. Because he was a certain way at one point in time, sometimes I kind of stick him there, and in my mind, he can't change from that position. But 100% he can. That's part of development as an adult. And so if you hear yourself do these two things, judging your past self for decisions or viewpoints or how you understood things or belief systems you carried, be really gentle with that. And the same with your spouse, judging them for viewpoints they had before and thinking that that's where they still are when really maybe it's not. Helpful to look at. And also really helpful to see is it's challenging when there's change, whether it's positive change or negative change. It's challenging when there's change, even if it's normal or expected, it's still challenging. And so just adding just like some gentleness and grace to ourselves and to our spouses, that things are going to continue to change. That's the nature of life, right? The only constant is change. Knowing that that's going to happen, but still giving some gentleness and grace around that, knowing that that's not always easy for people. And that that can be a hard pill to swallow, and not giving them an excuse and ignoring the change, but at least recognizing and adding some compassion that it's not always easy either. Okay, there's your anticipatory guidance for adult development. This is part and parcel to what you see in a mixed faith marriage, because I consider a faith transition to be a developmental thing. And again, not saying that it's right or wrong, or that people who haven't gone through a faith transition are better than people who haven't, because that's just not true. It's just we have different journeys in life and different ways of seeing things and developing ideas. And some people develop in this direction and some people develop in this direction, and it's all good. But that's what's happening when we can just have some understanding that it's normal and natural and okay. It gives us a soft place to land. All right, wishing you the best in your mixed faith marriage. Before I end though, if you would like to get some coaching help for your mixed faith marriage, if change is just a really big sticking point and it just seems like you cannot, or your spouse cannot allow that, you may need some coaching to help work through when a development becomes sticky or more of an obstacle than a stepping stone. And if that's happening to you, I would suggest reaching out. Go to my website, brookeboothcoaching.com, and schedule a free call with me. If you go to the Work With Me page and then schedule a free call, let's talk about your mixed faith marriage and see if we can't work out the kinks with a little bit of coaching so that your development can bless your marriage instead of hinder it. All right, wishing you the best.